Hello dancers and dance lovers. I am coming to you from my bath. I am having a scalding hot heat therapy bath because my arthritis is killing me. And I am watching day 3 of Prix de Lausanne, and I just thought this would be a great time for me to share, for what it's worth, sharing my artistry tips for classical ballet variations. Just a tiny bit of background about me and where I come from with this topic. I was, as a young dancer, training to be a professional ballet dancer, but then I got my diagnosis of psoriatic arthritis. It's a degenerative condition, and so was just never going to ballet was never going to happen for me. But I then moved into theatre, drama, acting, and specifically burlesque and musical theatre, but always had my love and passion for ballet there. I'm now embarking on a PhD to research ways to teach artistry to dancers, not just ballet dancers, but to dancers in general. So my tips for you today are based on my research and my experience. Now, my experience includes being an autistic girl. And don't believe what they say about autistic people not being good with emotion and not being able to express emotion and not being able to read emotion. There's a lot of autistic people who can read emotions really well, and that's actually why we struggle with it. It's actually helped me to be a better performer. I was that dancer that people said, oh, she's got the X factor, the it quality that you can't teach. My PhD is based on the fact that that is bullshit. Now, I'm not going to put the word bullshit in the title of my thesis, obviously, but you can teach it. And I'm going to find ways to make it easy to teach. And it is being taught. And I am watching the coaching sessions for the senior girls Group B at the moment. And the coach, whose name absolutely escapes me right now, but she's amazing, and she's doing such a great job of paying attention to the elements of artistry that are really going to take your routines to the next level. Things that she's saying that I also, in my research, has found to be really beneficial: musicality. So, you know how there's that thing about dance teachers and dance choreographers, and we don't just use counts or words, we combine them and make up our own thing, and then we sing the choreography? Do that for yourself when you're performing. Listen to your music in your head and your body, and sing it in your body, and sing it the way, particularly if there's a difficult combo or a combo a section that makes you feel like, oh, I don't know. Sing it through your body and your head. So, that's just singing it and humming along, okay? Add the choreographer, the teacher part to it. So it would be whatever works for you, but something like, stepping out, rotate the hips, look at my foot. Yeah, and do silly things like that if you sang it out loud, people would be like, do you need mental health? Okay? Because singing that makes the corrections that you've been given glue to the musicality. So being out of time with the music is not really an option when you're singing it in your head and singing it in your body. Sing the accents, Connecting step and 1, 2, up and releve accent. Yep, anything that works for you. Take your corrections, musicalize them. The second one is extending from the musicality. The reason musicality is important is because when you perform, you are performing for an audience. You are always performing for an audience. Whether the audience is the jury in a class, whether the audience is your teacher in a class back in your studio, or whether the audience is yourself in the mirror. There's always an audience. And this is a controversial topic because I know in arts we always want it to be about ourselves and perform for yourself and the love of it yourself. But it is that this is the way we communicate best. We communicate through dance. It's why we do it, because it's how our bodies express themselves and communicate. So before you go on stage, think about what you want your audience to feel. Okay? If you think about what you want to feel and what you're feeling, that's when you can let nerves and anxiety, and worse than that, the pressures of the ballet world and the dance world, just fall on you. don't think about what are the audience thinking of me. Think about what you want the audience to think and feel during your performance. So as an example, I didn't have great feet until I did. Weird sentence. But you know what I mean, dancers. I worked and worked and worked at it. And once my feet started to actually come good, I would find moments in my dance and in my performances where I would be singing it in my head. I'd be like, and look at my foot. Isn't it beautiful? You're dying now. Yeah. It's those little things where you're like, it doesn't just have to be what story are you telling the audience, okay? It can be, what do you want your audience thinking about your technique? What do you want the audience thinking about your musicality, about your artistry, about your port de bras, about anything? What do you want them feeling? When you take that onto the stage, it's a much easier way to be mindful as a dancer than to be in your own thoughts and your own ideas of you, okay? Now, the reason this connects to musicality is because the vast majority of people, whether they are dancers, musicians or not, the vast majority of people actually innately know musicality. So some people might not be able to articulate it, but we know when someone's dancing off rhythm, off the beat. More than that, we know when someone is completely connected to the music. And if you can hit accents of the music and key parts of the music, it's so satisfying for the audience. And and I include the jury in this, where they're like, those moments, yeah? And that hitting the accent, it doesn't need to be that you've hit, a quad pirouette. If you do a triple pirouette in Esmeralda and land it and smash that tambourine right on the beat, it takes that triple pirouette from that was physically good to damn. Okay? If you can connect to the music, you can connect to your audience. Music and dance really and truly are universal languages. And this is your language. You are a trained dancer and you are someone who is pulled to dance. This is how you communicate. Use the tools of musicality and use the imagery in your brain. What do you want your audience to feel? Whatever the role you're playing, what do you want your audience to feel about your character? Do you want them at certain parts to be thinking, wow, that is an amazing prince? Or wow, that is a man who can make real change. You can really make your audience feel these things by thinking it and applying it to the choreography and the music, okay? So Basilo's an easy one to do that with. Basilo is that guy that everyone's like, oh, he's such a bad boy, but I really love him. Like, I really want to hang out with him. I really like, I want to party with Basilo. So the tricks in Basilo, the jumps and the turns, they are showing off, okay? But you're not showing off you as a dancer. You're showing off this cheeky cad in a bar. Okay, now most of you are too young to be partying in bars, obviously, but he's not a cheeky cad who is distancing himself from the audience. Everyone wants to be his friend. Everyone wants to party with Basilo. Is that your character? Then put that into it. Go, come and party with me. Come and dance with me. Or is it, that is the most beautiful princess I have ever seen and I will follow her to the ends of the earth. Those sorts of thoughts in your head matter when you're dancing. This brings me to my final point, which is more of a technical artistry point, contrast. If you can make contrast in your dance, in your performance, the audience will be more engaged. X factor, that thing that can't be taught, a lot of it comes down to contrasts. Because any time the audience or a person can find a pattern in what is being communicated to them, like what I'm doing with my voice right now, and I'm making it very monotone and all on one level, and you've probably tuned out by now because it is very boring. But once you put contrast in it, it makes the audience go, oh. The coaching session just now, she was talking to her about the musicality is good, but you want to make sure that the connecting steps, She was doing Princess Aurora, and she said very elegant, very beautiful. But when you get to the PKs, that's where we need to see that beautiful poise and hold. So make the connecting steps quicker and sharper. That then gives that surprise in contrast. Yeah, find contrast. It's often called light and shade. Okay, it connects to your dynamics. It also connects to your musicality. So they're my 3 tips from somebody who is literally going to become a doctor in dance artistry. Musicality. What do you want your audience to feel? Contrast. Everybody is loving what you're doing. Nobody wants you to fail. And if there is someone who wants you to fail, they are not worth yours or my or anybody else's time. So forget about them. We all want you to succeed. Cannot wait to see the selections.